Whoa, Candida! We can make it better. Greetings and hello. My back is to you, isn't it? Let me turn this way. Greetings and hello, gang, and welcome to the Chat with the Docs for November the 10th. And it is our another open line day where we answer your questions. We have questions that you have emailed into us, that you have carrier pigeoned into us, that some of you have even just sent singing telegrams in. We'll try to sing the singing telegram versions. Well, you can.
Let me know which ones they are.
If you want to be part of the show, if you have a medical question that you need answered, give us a call, 608-314-8791. We'll try to answer your questions. We are licensed medical professionals. Ooh, that carries a lot of weight. My name is Mo. I'm the acupuncturist, Oriental Medicine and Functional Medicine at the Siloam Center for Traditional Medicine. You are?
I'm Dr. Noel, the chiropractor here. With all the other stuff that he said.
You also do some functional.
A little bit.
You do some functional.
I'm learning.
Yeah. I'm trying to get her to talk about what she does. It's like pulling teeth on Saul. He has no teeth, which is why he likes the government cheese. And if you're wondering what that has to do with anything, you're new to the show. Thank you for coming.
Yep.
So it is now Tuesday. It's the Chat with the Doc show.
Mm-hmm.
It is your most entertaining hour of the week.
I would say so.
Most entertaining, most informative hour of the week, where we don't talk about politics. We might make jokes about politicians, but we won't talk about it. We don't talk about COVID.
We probably just got shut off right there.
No, we still have 2 people watching.
Oh, good.
Both viewers are still there. You can either call us at 608-314-8791. You can hit us up on the live chat on YouTube. You can get a hold of us on any one of our platforms. And Hero in the Philippines, who is engineering our show, Hero, I salute you. You do a fine job, man. And Carrie is up at front to answer your calls. So, here's your chance. We've got questions to answer, but yours is just as important. So, in the news,
is there anything we can talk about?
The U.S. Marshal's Office just did a bust last week. It was announced, and they got 27 more kids?
That was on.
That was like
Election Day, wasn't it?
Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday.
Yeah.
It came out just after the show. So again,
That's
to
good.
the U.S. Marshal's Office and everybody that's involved in their efforts, thank you. Thank you, and go get them. Don't stop. We pray that you will have all the tools that you need regardless of what's going on. I just love the Marshal's Office. They're so cool.
That's probably about the only thing we can talk about with current events.
Super cool.
Super cool.
We are in the Midwest and Wisconsin, and yes, we are drinking Quick Trip coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Say, how's your folks?
Tell your folks I says hi.
Yeah. Watch out for deer. Actually, that's legit this time of year.
Yeah.
You've got the fields that are getting harvested. You've got the guys that are sitting in their tree stands. Some of them are even sober, but they're chasing the deer out on the road, so you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, instead of going straight into your questions, I had something interesting this morning. Did you care to?
I'm listening. I'm good at listening.
Are you interested in what?
Yeah.
Ask me what happened this morning.
What happened this morning, Mo?
What would ever make you ask such a question like that?
The suspense is killing me. Come on.
Really?
Yep.
No, you're fine. I had a gentleman in the clinic. I've been treating him for chronic Lyme disease, chronic EBV, chronic Candida. Uh, he had presented with a number of structural anomalies, a number of skin issues, number of different things, and he had some prostatitis that had been
Wow.
being treated for a long time by a naturopath and some other folks. We took him through 3 of the 5 phases on the protocol that I used for Lyme disease, and killed off a bunch of parasites, killed off a bunch of stuff, boosted his immune function. And when we checked him out again today, his only weak spot was glyphosates. He was just out harvesting grain. He's bathing in the dust of it. So it's going to be high. And urinary tract. Everything else that had been so struggling is fine. But that urinary tract is still struggling. It's about 75% better than it was.
Well, that's still good.
But it's still struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to thinking about that, and I started testing some things with the kinesiology and looking at pulses and studying him. And I got to thinking about a number of other chronic prostate issue patients that I've had over the years. One gentleman with severe prostatitis and kidney failure. And the common strain between all of these guys is you put them on antiviral herbs, you put them on antibacterial herbs, you put them on antiparasitic herbs, and these guys improve. That's really cool.
That is, considering, like we were talking about the age last week.
How common is
It's common.
prostatitis?
It's very common.
It's huge. It's huge, if I could say it like that without offending both people. I don't think I will offend both people because I think I know who's watching. I think it's John and Mercy Joy.
That could be.
And
sometimes it's not always the itis. It's not always the infection, but it's just enlarged.
Yeah. So normally there's a couple of herbs that I go to, but and then those are for clearing inflammation in the prostate, calming things down. But the more I've studied the impact of chronic infection on tissues, the more I've considered the importance of the cytokinin aspect of the infection. Now, what do we know about a cytokinin flare? Well, that's what kills you from COVID.
Cytokine storm or whatever they call.
Yes. And that's what gets into the organs and causes the organ damage. Well, when you have a cytokinin storm going on in the prostate, that's going to cause damage to that gland. That's what's causing the swelling. That's what's causing the inflammation. That's what's causing the damage. So there's a formula from Evergreen Herbs called P-Support, which whenever there's problems with the prostate, I always go straight to that because it's phenomenal. Whereas one of my instructors used to say, phenomenal. And what it does is it drains damp heat from the lower jiao in Chinese aspect. So it's clearing inflammation. But I add to that something called astringent complex from Evergreen Herbs. And it's kind of a 3-to-2, 3-to-1 ratio, depending on the patient. But that astringent complex works really, really well at bringing down the cytokinins.
Okay.
You get somebody that's got a really bad flu that's starting to cause cytokinins to flare. COVID's not the only one that does that. You give them the AC complex, clears the cytokinins out of the lungs. The cough goes away, they start healing. You mix that astringent complex with the P-Support, and throw in a little bit of antiviral for any Epstein-Barr that might be in the prostate, now the prostate can function. You do the kinesiology testing with these herbs, and suddenly that prostate's thriving.
And then the kidney function comes up too.
And the kidney function comes up. And then once you clear out all vestiges of these infections, then in about 2 months, we can start boosting kidney function. Then we can start boosting, tonifying the guy's kidneys, tonifying his cardiovascular system. And now the guy will have more energy. Now the guy will not be getting up 3 times a night to use the restroom. The guy's life has changed now. 75 years old, working solid hours every day, doing pretty physical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of being on the decline, he's on the up at 75.
That's pretty cool.
That is
Super cool.
super cool. And if you're wondering, a couple of weeks ago, she started the drinking game where we drink a sip of coffee or a slug of coffee every time one of us is dumb enough to say, super cool. Yeah, that's going to get old.
Oh, we can always change up the phrase too.
We could. We could change it to the phrase, did they shut us off yet?
Oh, another thing I saw. I don't think it's kind of COVID. They get that vaccine now they're talking about.
Oy. And it's not even a true vaccine.
It hasn't been tested.
It hasn't been tested. It's not a true vaccine. It's a COVID shot, kind of like the flu shot.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, how many patients do you see that get the flu shot and get the flu every year?
I just had one that had it really bad. And they're otherwise very healthy, about your age. Really took them out, down and out. There was apparent weight loss, like, that I could notice.
When you look at the chemistry, forget the morality aspect, but when you look at the chemistry aspect of the flu shot, which do you think is more deleterious to the patient? The chemistry of that flu shot, or having to treat them for flu maybe at some point in the year?
That chemistry is wicked.
Yes, it is. The chemistry in that flu shot. I don't know how it legally got through. Well, I do know how it legally got through, but it should never have. It's dangerous stuff. And we mandate it? Well, workplaces mandate it, and now New York is mandating the COVID shot, even though it's not a vaccine, and they're calling it a vaccine.
All about the Benjamins. Pretty much.
Have you seen any Benjamins lately?
No, I have not.
I saw a Lincoln once. I saw a Grant a couple weeks ago. I've seen a George Washington. I see a lot of Lincolns.
I was saying, is Benjamin leaving the thing too with the change?
Yeah. Very possibly. We didn't even say the word.
That's okay.
So
no, I was just being told that yesterday by a lot of patients. I don't even have to watch the news anymore. I find out from the patients.
Isn't it great?
Mm-hmm.
By the
They
way,
just keep me up to date.
I am so grateful for all of this turmoil right now, because it showed me that there are other platforms out there.
I found out about 2 of those last
Parler
night.
and what is it?
Mimi?
May we? Something like that.
Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't sound great, but I'm sure I'm not saying it correctly. I found out about that last night.
I don't use Facebook much anyway.
It's very filtered.
All I ever used it for really was looking at bug pictures, car pictures, airplane pictures, and pictures of kids and friends of mine.
Well,
And last night, I have to admit this. I went on Facebook and it suggested people, it suggests people to you. And I saw the name of somebody that I went to junior high with.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's cool. So I clicked on that person's profile and I'm looking at that person and I look at their friends list. Hey, I know that person. I went to school. And you look at, it's amazing when you get into your 40s how fat and bald
And
the
you're
people
neither.
that you went to junior high with got.
And you're neither.
And that's just the girls.
Oh gosh. Oh boy. I hope they're not watching today.
Well, they hated me back then. Nothing's changed.
So back to that though. Are you going to keep Facebook?
I will keep it just from the standpoint that we have the clinic on there.
That's where I'm at too with my stuff. It's just
Personal
like,
stuff, I'm switching. I'm
I think
switching.
it's going to get phased out, honestly, because they're saying more and more people are leaving it. And if you look on some of those feeds, all you're getting is ads now, and it's filtered.
Yeah, I'm downloading all of my pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I got to download all of that, put it onto an external drive. Because a lot of pictures I'm stealing off of my wife. Don't tell her mercy. I'm stealing off of family members who have pictures of my kids that they took and posted. So I keep those.
I think it needs to happen, though. I think Zuckerberg had his run, but he sold out.
I don't think he ever had soul to begin with.
I don't think so either. I watched his little movie. Didn't sound like he
I wasn't old
dig
enough
into
to watch
buddy.
his movie.
No. He had a partner he started out with, and he kind of put him through the ringer.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to health and wellness.
I'm sorry, we did get into current events. And Geraldo
that was
Rivero
my
isn't
fault.
here. Didn't he? Yeah, Geraldo Rivero. He used to have a show called Current Events. No, Current Affair. It was a current affair, wasn't it? You're not old enough for that, are you?
Never current affair.
Gerald. We'll go to Gerald because this kind of goes with what we've already started. Gerald in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm surprised that our humble little health and wellness show gets out there that far. It is on the internet, though. Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indy 500, the Brickyard. I'm 82 years old. I am active and take daily walks with my dog. I was jogging up until this spring when my family asked me to stop from the COVID. I'm assuming they didn't want him out jogging because of people and COVID. I drink my coffee every morning with a piece of toast and eat my dinner around 3 or 4 o'clock. Sounds about right. I have started in with the shakes, and my doctor thinks it's Parkinson's disease. Is this something that acupuncture can help with, or do you know of anyone in the Indianapolis area that might do acupuncture? Gerald, number one, for you to be out jogging at 82, you are the man. That's phenomenal. I'm just glad you're still out there walking, moving around.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you would be, did the shakes start after you stopped jogging? I would love to know that diagnostically. Number two, yes, acupuncture is used to affect Parkinson's disease. It's not going to get rid of it, but it can drastically slow it down. My mom is a poster child for that. Drastically slows down the progression and mutes some of the symptoms.
And that's pretty amazing.
It is. Now you're an active guy. You like to be moving, and it's incredibly good for you to be moving. I would say, in addition to acupuncture and chiropractic, I would say make sure that you are getting yourself into maybe a boxing gym. So that way you can be spending some time on the pads. You can be working on making those connections, those neural connections with your hands. Make sure that you're making those neural connections with your feet, so that way you're getting your body moving. You don't have to be hitting hard. We're not trying to turn you into Rocky Balboa. We're not even trying to turn you into Pat Boone. Nobody wants to see you in leather pants, Gerald. Sorry.
Poor Gerald.
Poor Pat Boone. It's amazing. He still does performances at his age. He's got to be close to 90. But do get into boxing. It has been shown to really help people with Parkinson's. If you can't find a boxing gym that does stuff for elderly folks, Maybe find a martial arts gym that will bring you in and let you do some pad work and get an instructor to work with you. You're not trying to learn to hurt somebody. You're just trying to learn the pad work and the footwork.
Mhm.
Learn the speed bag. Learn to use these tools. It's going to help you significantly. And I really need to adjust that clock.
It's running fast, right?
It's a few minutes fast. It's 3 minutes fast. No, that is correct.
Was it?
That is correct. I think with the time Carrie corrected it.
She's awesome.
She's on the dot. So Gerald, yes, get thee to an acupuncturist. Do you know anyone in Indianapolis? Any practitioners? I don't know of
Not
anybody.
specifically Indianapolis.
I don't even know of anyone in Wisconsin. I don't get out much.
I've got chiropractors that they're in Indiana, but I'd have to look up again what part of Indiana.
Okay. Jerry, can I call you Jerry? I feel like we know each other at this point. Do you want to call him Jerry too?
Hi, Jerry.
You just made his day. Give us a call. Call me at the office. Call Carrie. Leave your voicemail. Leave your message, and I'll see if I can track somebody down. Otherwise, you can go to look up Bob Doan, his website, doan.us or something like that. He's got a list of balance method practitioners, which is similar to what I do. He's got a list, and you can always contact them directly at their website and say, hey, do you have anybody that's trained with you that's in Indianapolis? So that said, I hope that helps, Gerald. If you have any questions, call our office at 608-314-8791, and we'll do the best we can to help you out.
Shall I read the next one?
Yes.
All right. So we are taking Mary Beth from Rockford, Illinois.
Woo, just down the road.
Yes.
Super cool.
Super cool. What can you do for SIBO?
Wasn't that a song that a bunch of nuns sang?
Oh, I don't know.
No, that was What Do You Do with a Girl Named Maria.
We were just talking about this before the show a little bit.
Yes, because you were reading the show prep.
Yes, I was.
You sneaky little devil.
But we did talk about it last week a little bit, or 2 weeks ago.
Do you remember what SIBO is? Both of you who watch this show live, do you remember what SIBO is?
Small.
You do?
Small.
See, I've been watching Blue's Clues with my littlest.
Small
Actually,
bacterial
no,
overgrowth.
we've been watching Blippi.
Uh-oh.
Small intestine bacterial overgrowth, yes.
You hate Blippi.
He's growing on me.
Uh-oh.
I think it's more homeopathic type. I think the allergy is leaving. He doesn't irritate me nearly as much, mainly because I've had to fall asleep on the sofa as my little one's going,
He's a vet, isn't he?
Blippi?
I thought he
don't
was
think
a.
so.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I thought I read that somewhere.
He's creepy.
I know you told me that before.
He's exceedingly creepy, but
Just like SIBO.
SIBO's creepy.
It creeps
Yes.
into the small intestine.
What can you do for SIBO? Number one, we have to say what SIBO is. Small intestine bacterial overgrowth. It's bacteria from the colon
That creeps.
creeping back up through.
Is that what he does?
That's what it does, and it comes up through the ileocecal valve that remains open, and it gets up into the small bowel. Well, the small bowel is where your good flora is at. Your small bowel is where you're absorbing things. Think of it as your body's kitchen. It's where your body eats. Your large bowel, your colon, is where your
Bathroom.
body goes to the bathroom. It's the bathroom of the body. You don't want. In fact, most places, it's illegal to have a bathroom off the kitchen.
Unless you see them in old houses, and then you wonder
Unless
what were
it's
they
grandfathered
thinking.
in.
You're thinking, what were you thinking?
But on new construction, most places you can't do that. because you don't want bacteria coming into your kitchen from your bathroom. That's basically what SIBO is. So people who have a lot of gas, people who have a lot of belching, pain, those sorts of things, malnourishment, you look towards SIBO. Because you and I don't produce the gas, the methane, the hydrogen. We don't produce that. It's the bacteria that's in you that produces it. When you start looking at the critters that make up your biome, number one is kind of blippy, creepy. Number two, oh boy, that's all we need now. Some creepy dude in tight pants and suspenders and a weird hat showing up to complain. You will have to get in line, Blippy. Hey, they haven't shut us off yet. So it's this overgrowth of bacteria going up in there. So what do you have to do? You've got two things that you've got to do. You've got to start regulating that ileocecal valve. You've got to get it opening and closing properly. Sometimes it closes and won't open, and then you have a constipation issue. Sometimes it opens and stays open, and then you have the SIBO issue. Sometimes it opens and is just really slow and closing, and you still get the SIBO issue. So you've got to
what does that? Like, what triggers it to all of a sudden not work properly?
Any number of things. Could be infection, viral infection. It could be stress. It could be nerve impingement. I mean, how many times have you treated something like this, digestive upset, gas, just by doing chiropractic adjustment and releasing pressure on those nerves? It could be any number of things.
Okay.
But from an herbal perspective, what I want to do is from a Chinese herbal perspective, I want to get the liver functioning properly. I want to get the liver qi smoothed out, man. So Xiaoyasan, Jiawei Xiaoyasan, something like that. I also want to boost spleen function to get that transit time going, to get the absorption better, to clear out inflammation from the small bowel. So maybe a Gui Pi Tong. I love the patent formulas from Evergreen, GI Harmony for helping to regulate that ileocecal valve, and we were talking GI Tonic. Mm-hmm. And then there's some others for killing bacteria. But I also love using a high energetic carbon in the bowel to absorb that bad bacteria that gets into the small bowel. And in severe cases, I would tell the patient to open the capsule up so their body doesn't even have to waste energy opening the capsule internally, dissolving it. Just open it up, put it in water, and slug it back. Do that a few times a day for a couple of weeks. And those high energetic carbons will act like an activated charcoal, bond to the bad bacteria and pull it out. And once that carbon is glommed onto it, it's like it's like grabbing hold of a bad guy when you're arresting him, cranking his hands behind his back, putting the cuffs on him. He can't do anything now. Well, he can spit and he can headbutt. And he can stomp. You got to watch out for those things.
Do you have to space out the timing between like the GI Harmony and doing that carbon so it doesn't actually pull out the good stuff?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Depends on the patient. If they're having a hard time with the stress of taking things at different times, just get them in you.
So I won't just pull everything then?
No. And the beautiful, if you're using activated charcoal, you really need to think about stretching things out. But if you're using a high energetic humic and fulvic carbon compound, like the biotoxin binder that we use, no, you don't have to, because it's not just simply grabbing hold of things. It can give carbons, which will actually make the herbs work better, or it can take carbons, it can take things away. So do you realize what time it is?
It's time for a conundrum.
It's conundrum time. Are you ready for a conundrum? Hey, are you ready for a conundrum? No? Okay, we'll go to the next question. Yes, I don't care. We're doing the conundrum. This is sealed, hermetically sealed. Hey, Carrie, if you're watching, can you bring us an envelope for today's conundrum? Could you text it to her on that just in case? So I'm going to open it because someone refuses to open the conundrum. So this is last week's. Do you remember last week's conundrum? No, it didn't have to do with
can't remember the
Vinny
whole
the
thing.
fish. This was Dr. Ivan T. Gaboon. He was treating a 33-year-old female patient with sharp and stabbing pains in her left hypochondrium. What's the left hypochondrium? Right in here. The patient was irritable and weak, complaining of fatigue, brain fog, and frequent illness, floaters in her vision, and bruising easily. Dr. Gaboon took the patient's pulses, he's a viper, and found on the left guan pulse a shallow, replete, and wiry pulse. What was the viper's diagnosis? He's a viper at diagnostics. He's got it.
Well, some of them sound like my stuff that I have going on. So I'd have to say liver deficiency.
I didn't say it. Yeah, well, yes. Classically in Chinese medicine, if you didn't have any Gu syndrome going on, parasites, you'd be looking at liver blood stagnation with spleen Qi deficiency. That would be the classic Chinese diagnostic. In 5 elements diagnostics, if you want to get real poetic, what soft, what light through yonder window break? Yonder window break because I threw a brick at it. Don't judge me. In a 5 element, I wish I had a pipe. In a 5 elements diagnostics, blood stagnation with spleen Qi deficiency would be manifesting more as a wood element invading and insulting the earth elements. Change my mind. So, that was last week's conundrum. Now, our winner for last week. Are you ready for this?
We have one.
We have a winner. We have a wiener. Erlene from Chattanooga.
Ooh.
Pardon me, boys. This is out in Chattanooga, choo-choo. You missed it. You're supposed to say, yes, sir. Erlene, you have won $10. Was it $10 or $20? I'm feeling, let's just do 20 and make it even. You have won $10 from our apothecary. So you didn't write it in on the back of anything valuable. You just, called it in. So left a voicemail, which is fine. You can do that.
Hey, she's got her number then.
A lot of people have our number. It frightens me. Makes me nervous. I didn't sleep a wink last night. Woo-wee! Erlene Carey will be calling you sometime today to find out what it is that you want to use that $20 on. You can put that $20 towards a distance consult with either one of us. You can put that towards some of the over-the-counter type stuff that we've got. We've got the Rescue Balm, good stuff. There's some other things that we can do. So congratulations, Erlene. But on to this week's conundrum.
Yes.
This week's conundrum is rather technical.
Do you want me to read it?
Do you want to read the conundrum? Would you like to be part of the conundrum?
I'll read the conundrum.
Read on.
There are 4 basic types of blood pressure in Chinese medicine. If both the systolic and diastolic pressures are high and the heart rate is fast, what is the Chinese diagnosis?
So, for those of you in what town should we pick on?
Around here.
For those of you in Wauwatosa who don't understand this,
Tulsa.
those of you in Tulsa, number one, say hi to your folks for us. That guy is hilarious.
I like him.
And he can sing too.
If we ever get big enough that we could get him on the show, best day ever.
Check him for Lyme.
Charlie Burns.
Charlie Burns, if you're out there and you want us to check you for Lyme, yo, come down and we'll check you.
Because you know what? He's super cool.
We drink to that. So, what do we mean by systolic and diastolic? You've got two numbers when they give you your blood pressure. When you go to the doctor and your heart's going, and they say, oh, you have high blood pressure. You say, no, I just can't stand white gums. They give you two numbers.
For example,
120 over 80, which used to be
that's
the
like
standard.
average. Yeah.
Used to be the standard until they got stupid and made it dangerously low. Just my opinion. You know what opinions are like.
So in my knowledge with it, I know acupuncture stuff will play different with things, but the 120 or the number on the top is the systolic, and the number on the bottom is the diastolic. At least to label them.
And they have to do with the pressure on the heart the pressure on the blood as it compresses and relaxes, as it compresses and pushes things out, and as it squirts things in.
Yeah.
So that's systolic, diastolic for those of you in TOSA.
And also, like when you have the doctor actually listening, besides when they hook the automatic one up on your arm, and then usually end up with an even higher number than you get by hand. But when
those are so bad because most people think you got to crank it down real tight to put it on you. That's going to make it artificially high. So you do the test on home, and it's bogus.
And you don't want to do it over clothing, sweatshirts, because if you have something in between, that's going to throw it off as well.
That's right.
But when I'm doing the blood pressure, first I'm checking to see, a good one should check and see where the pulse actually starts to leave, because then you're kind of in range instead of just cranking it up to like 200 and dropping her down. So when you're inflating that cuff, you get it, I usually do it around like 160. I don't try not to overshoot it too much. Some people can be over that, but if you start hearing the heartbeat right away at 160, that's your top number. Usually you let it kind of decrease in pressure, and that first sound you hear is the systolic. Then you keep listening to it beat, and you'll actually see the needle tap down like that. The very last beat you hear is that diastolic, and that's how you get the blood pressure reading.
Yep. There's really no mystery to it. It's pretty easy to do. But Western medicine, somebody's got high, let's say it's 160 over 100. Number one, you're in tough shape. Western medicine looks at that and just says, oh, high blood pressure. We got to give you some pills to take that down. In Chinese medicine, we say, ooh, there is this pathogen in your body. There's 5 pathogens. This is your hint. There's water or dampness. There is wind. There is hot. There is cold. There is dry. Those are your 5 pathogens. Which of these 5 pathogens is causing a high systolic and a high diastolic pressure? If you think you know the answer, or you just want to take a stab at it, and you like Erlene might be the only person writing in that week or calling in.
You got 5 choices. You got a pretty good odds. It's not just like throwing it. You got five options.
You could win $20 from our apothecary. So, if you think you know the answer and you really want to make us happy, write it on the bottom of a Quick Trip decaf coffee, 2 of them, and send it to us at 839 Harding Street, Janesville, Wisconsin, care of Chat with the Bozos. Chat with the Docs. I'm sorry, that was hard on your self-esteem. Me, I'm used to it. Angela in Sarasota, Florida.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yep.
I've never been there. I've been to Orlando, and that's it. I went to Orlando twice in 2 months. Never been there before.
Cool beaches. Siesta Key had a lot of shells on it. Cool. And teeth.
No,
Sharp teeth.
I've been to Florida 3 times. I went to Tampa
Okay.
4 years ago to visit my sister and her husband when they lived there.
Oh, cool.
My son and I almost got killed.
Boy.
We were fishing on the end of I think it was the south, it was either the east or the south fishing pier on the bridge there in Tampa. And we were on the very end of the pier. If this is the pier, and it's several miles long, we were out here and we were fishing. We had just caught a shark. I mean, we were having a great time. We were hand lining, catching all kinds of things. And we heard this. My son was with me in the middle. We had our bait out there going for another shark. My son went over here to hand line into the corner. And some crazy guy decided he was going to kill himself. And so he was in his high-end Mercedes convertible, and he gunned it. And he's screaming 100 miles an hour or so down that. I have no idea how I got out of the way, but I didn't get hit. But where I was standing, he went through the wall, and it was a nightmare.
Wow.
So no wonder I blocked it out of my memory.
I understand.
So on that note, Angela, welcome to the show.
I got bit by fire ants down in Sarasota fishing off of a jetty, but yours
Did
is
you?
way more interesting. They definitely feel like fire. You look down, you see all these tiny little red ants, and
Isn't it formic acid that they're injecting you?
I don't
think
know,
so.
but there was a bathhouse, and I ran in there and I sat with my feet in the sink because it was hot.
It's a bad deal. Angela writes, I have fibromyalgia and have had it for a long time. When my husband and I retired, we moved to Florida to get away from Michigan winters. Using your noodle, the warmth helps me to some extent. It really helped at the beginning, but the older I get, I'm 67, the less the warmth is helping. My doctor just wants to add more pills. I don't want to be on any more pills. Any suggestions?
Sounds like Lyme to me.
Oh, Grasshopper, you're making me so proud. And it's not naughty for me to talk that way. I have a license in Chinese medicine. I can do that. Besides, I'm a Jew. Everyone hates us.
I don't.
That's because you're a sweet person. So, yes, it sounds to me more like a Lyme issue. Fibromyalgia. It's a syndrome. You look under the ICD-10 codes, ICD-9, ICD-10 codes, it's a syndrome. What is a syndrome?
You get a presentation, but it's not what it is.
When
you have symptoms.
When I almost said it. When Western medicine is diagnosing, they have a checklist of symptoms. If you have 5 or less, we're just throwing that out there arbitrarily, you have 5 or less, then you have this disease. If you have 10 or less, you have this syndrome that kind of encompasses a couple of different diseases. So it's more of a pluralistic diagnosis.
Because
if one can use those
most
terms.
practitioners are kind of getting away from fibromyalgia because it's kind of a like you said, kind of a
cop-out.
catch-all. It's a catch-all, yeah.
You say
like
catch-all,
MS.
I say cop-out.
MS, lupus, all different ones that you really
By the
can't
way,
explain.
I heard from a patient this morning who had diagnosis of lupus, and it was ruining his kidneys. He was just a few numbers away from kidney dialysis. And we started treating him, and he went in and had his numbers read again last week, and his doctor said, yeah, your lupus flare is over. So what we were doing really helped. The doctor had prescribed some I can't think of the term. Humira, the class that Humira is in.
Okay.
Some immune suppressant drugs. The guy didn't take it because he was frightened of getting sick on it. So he came to me, and we were treating. We treated him for Lyme disease. We treated him for parasite infection. And he's out of his lupus flare. His lupus is in remission. His kidney failure is in remission. Just spitballing here, but maybe we're onto something. So, Angela, yes, what you need to do is you need to get to somebody that can check you for Lyme disease. You're from the Midwest. your high probability of Lyme disease, whether you remember getting bit by a tick or not. So much of the time, thank you. So much of the time, people get a Lyme diagnosis and they say, "But I don't remember getting bit by a tick."
You usually don't get the classic bullseye with Lyme, though.
Yeah. And you don't normally even remember getting bit by a tick.
Mm.
And there is some suggestion, there's plenty of evidence that suggests that mosquitoes and other critters can spread it. So get thee to somebody who can check you for Lyme disease. Get an IGeneX Western blot, somebody that knows how to read it, somebody that's clinically astute with Lyme. If you can't find somebody, call us. And we can do a phone assessment, 608-314-8791. If it's a little bit more than, if it's a little bit deeper water than I think you're comfortable with, I have people I can refer you to. Again, they're here in Wisconsin, but some good practitioners.
Should we jump to Jim?
Well,
Because it's kind of on the same
gosh
track.
and gollies, yes, let's do that.
Okay. So Jim from Watertown, up where my other practice is. It's about less than an hour is Watertown from here.
Is there water there?
Yes. River runs through it. Opportunity runs through it.
2 different movies. Wow. What overblown movie themes can you think of? Can you think of a movie theme? I've got one. Comes to mind. Of course, mine's from a long time ago. Can you think of a movie theme? Just off the top of your head.
Movie theme? Like what?
Just movie theme. Theme to a movie.
Like Western or like
Any.
what?
You look for a didactic person to have a hard time with this. When I
You're
say
too broad for me.
sing a song that was the theme of a movie, what comes to mind?
With that, I don't know, but that is their slogan. Opportunity runs through it.
I thought that was a movie.
It could be.
Anyway,
Watertown.
the movie theme that comes to my mind was the theme to the movie starring Ronald Reagan and Barbara Steinweg. And the movie was called High Riding Woman with a Whip.
Never seen that
We're
one.
talking not a B movie, but a C movie. What can you guys do for lupus, says Jim. Jim, we can do a lot for lupus.
We got to see what the root cause.
Number
is
one,
with
we
it.
need to get our hands on your pulses. We need to do some physical assessment. It's good to have a team working on you. We need to determine what the cause is, what has triggered it. Lupus is what? Lupus is an autoimmune disorder.
Mhm.
So what causes it? Well, it's genetic. No. Just because you have genes doesn't mean you have to put them on. Although I put genes on every day because you wouldn't want the alternative.
It's an assault to the immune
That
system.
man looks like a chicken. Yes, he does. It's an assault on the immune system. It's your immune system that can't tell the difference between you and something else.
Mhm.
That's a big hint. There's usually chronic infection involved.
So it attacks healthy tissue.
Yeah.
Your healthy tissue.
You are in the Lyme corridor, so I would say that would be one of the things that we would primarily look at is looking at Lyme and its various co-infections.
Can that even trigger the SIBO?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. That can trigger the SIBO. That can trigger lupus. Can trigger severe arthritic type pain. Lupus can trigger heart disease, kidney disease. It can trigger all
It's
number of
inflammation.
things.
When
It's
you have
inflammation.
SIBO and lupus hand in hand, obviously you're going to treat them both. Which one would you treat a little bit more aggressively? Would you treat the SIBO more aggressively to get that bacteria calmed down? Or would you treat the lupus more aggressively to bring that inflammation down?
I would treat the cause for both of them.
So it could be the bacteria.
It's probably Usually when there's SIBO, you look at chronic infection,
Mhm.
either parasitic or bacterial,
Mhm.
maybe viral. Uh, with the lupus, with any time there's autoimmune, I look at, is there chronic infection here? If there's not, and there always is, if there's not, I go straight Chinese medicine, constitutional, and you tonify the deficiencies and you sedate the excess. But there's always, always, always some sort of chronic infection involved. So if you go to strengthen the human body when there's chronic infection, you're going to strengthen the infections as well.
Cool. All right.
No.
Super cool.
That's not
super
just cool.
cool.
That's super cool. Isn't this fun? I'm having fun. I look forward to this.
That is fun. I just want to pretend there's caffeination in there because it seems like there should be, at this point, we'd be going,
Yeah, I am.
oh, it's not decaf?
I hope Norman got decaf. I told him to get the decaf.
How do you say this next one's name? Under Jen.
Carrie?
Is it Caillou otherwise?
I'm a jerk.
That's above. That's above Jim. I said under. Under Jen.
Q.
Q. Okay.
That's a Vietnamese name.
Okay.
And yes, that is a Vietnamese name. Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
You can read it.
Why don't you read it?
Okay. My parents are from Vietnam, and I have a lot of health problems. My parents are from Vietnam and are having a lot of health problems the older they get. I am worried that there might be something going on from when they were younger that might be making them sick. Your doctor says it is all autoimmune problems and then tells us that is just because they are getting older. I heard you say last week that age isn't a pathology.
Yes!
Thank you. Is
Yes!
there something that we can do to have them better checked out?
Q, yes.
Bring him in. That's not far.
You are astute, young lady. Number one, I love history. And I don't like certain parts of history. I hate studying European history. It irritates me. I mean, who wants to study the French? I know I'm being cheap picking on the French. So easy.
Vietnam, though. They had
Vietnam.
communism, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, starting in the 50s, when they threw off the French. Ho Chi Minh actually wrote, was it Truman? Sent a letter to Truman asking for help getting rid of the French because the French were over Vietnam and the French were brutal and they were terrible and they were starving the Vietnamese people, which is what led to the rebellion in the first place. The French had control over it and which is why they called it French Indochina. And then in World War II, the Japanese came in and beat the French, go figure. After World War II, it went back, it reverted to French ownership, and then the people rebelled against the French. And Ho Chi Minh went to, I think it was Truman, and said, please help us get rid of the French. And he was ignored. So then he went to the Soviets. And the Soviets said, sign on this line, and we sell your soul, and we're good to go. And that's how it went communist. I had a patient who was an older Hmong lady. And she was, I can't remember quite what we were treating her for, but in doing my research, I found out that she had exposure to chemical weapons from the Soviets.
Oh.
The Soviets were dumping that stuff. Everyone thinks of Agent Orange as that we were guilty of, and we were guilty of it. But the Soviets were even more diabolical. Yellow Rain, I think it was called. And this woman had her family, she and her husband had their family on their back, and they were fleeing out of the jungle overland by foot. And this lady, what a hero. We use that term too loosely nowadays. Oh, you guys are heroes because you're doing your job at the hospital. Give me a break. You guys are heroes because you got up this morning. No. A hero is somebody that puts their life in danger to do something above and beyond the norm. Am I right?
You're right.
This woman and her husband weren't just packing their own kids out. They were packing the kids of their dead friends, their friends who had been killed in the war. And they came out and they were getting gassed as they're coming through the jungle. This woman's lungs were, it was a mess. That woman was a hero. So you, as a practitioner, you meet these patients and you have to get into their history, their personal history. You have to find out what they were exposed to. Q, your family might have been exposed to just your run-of-the-mill parasites in the jungles of Vietnam, eating the diet that's there. But they might have been exposed to heavy metals. They might have been exposed to chemical agents, biological agents, nerve agents. We don't know. That's stuff that we've got to look at. There's Lyme disease on every continent of the world except for Antarctica. Lucky for the penguins. Q, it could be any number of things. And, your parents might have been exceptionally healthy people all through their lives, but as they're aging, their immune systems can no longer keep up. And so their immune systems need some help. Mm-hmm. And yes, please get a hold of us, 608-314-8791. Q, call Carrie, get them on the schedule, and we will work with you and we will do everything we can to help them. Because your parents are probably treasures that need to be kept around, because the oral history that they have, the wisdom that they have, my goodness, they need to be around to share that wisdom. They know what they fled from. That story needs to be told. So I hope, did we answer that?
I think so.
Okay. You have 2 minutes left. We have filled the whole show, and Ellen and Arnold, I'm sorry we didn't get to you. Well, let's do Ellen real quick. We can do Ellen in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to read it?
Sure. Ellen from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We took our dog to the vet last week and we were told that her problem is worms. I am worried that if our dog has worms, we probably have them too. Is it possible for a dog to give worms to its owner? My husband doesn't think so, but I'm concerned.
Ellen, you are correct. And yes, you can do the I told you so dance. Ellen, yes, if your dog has worms and parasites, number one, do you have any other pets? Do you have a cat? Do you have another dog? If you just have children, well, no, if your dog has parasites, odds are you all have them. There's going to be more than one kind of worm in the dog. And if the dog's ever sneezed in your face, you probably have gotten some small roundworms from your dog that way.
And it's common for dogs to have worms. So can't they even get it from the mother when they're puppies?
As I recall,
through the milk? Yeah.
And if you've ever walked barefoot in your backyard, even after picking things up, you're at risk. If the dog's ever laid in your bed, slept on your bed, you're at risk. So yeah, pet owners, if you have a dog, you probably have some of the same parasites. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Share and share alike. So I am wrapping up the conundrum. from this week. And the answer is on my show prep. And I'm putting it in the envelope. And I'm sealing it. And I'm going to ask Dr. Noel to write the word conundrum on it. And we're going to put it up on the whiteboard for next week. It's sealed. Toledo, South Beloit, and Detroit. We'll find the answer to that next week. So you have spent another hour wasting away, frittering your time with us, your source for health and entertainment on YouTube. Thank you for spending this time with us. Have a great week. Be well.
And keep it super cool.
Keep it super cool. Shalom. L'chaim. Do you love? Yeah. We need to have Herman's Hermits play.